Hey YouTube, I get asked the question a lot, what's the best cheap beginner drone I can buy so that I can learn how to fly before I buy a big one? And today I'm going to answer that question for you. So the question of which beginner drone is the best is pretty subjective, I'll admit. Lots of people have lots of opinions, and I'm sure there's a lot of really good ones out there. But I can tell you that there's been one all along that I've felt is the best option for a variety of reasons. It's the Syma X5C, X5C1. It's this guy right here. Comes in multiple colors, which is actually pretty cool. I have a blue one and a white one. Used to have a black one, but I put it in a lake. But these guys have been kind of a workhorse. They've been around for a while. I'm going to give you 7 reasons why I really like these as a great practice drone for under 50 bucks. Now again, just to be clear, these are not the best when it comes to cameras. If you get one with a camera and you expect to shoot really nice video, it'll take some pictures and it'll shoot video, but it's not going to look smooth. It's not going to be very high resolution. They're low megapixel cameras. It's going to be pretty shaky because these don't have any sort of gimbal or stabilization or GPS in them. So the number one reason for me is the price. They're less than 50 bucks on Amazon, and if you find the ones that don't come with a camera, they're even cheaper. You can find them in the $30 range, which is great. Number 2 is the batteries are pretty cheap. These guys right here are 1S, 3.7 volt, 700 milliamp hours. They're really common batteries and they're fairly inexpensive. You can get 5 of them for 25 bucks online, and I recommend buying a lot. I mean, it really allows you to fly more and have a lot more fun if you have more of them. The number 3 thing I really like about the Syma X5C is that the remotes for the Symas all seem to work with every other Syma. So in other words, this one is the one that came with one of these guys. It'll fly either of them. It'll actually fly both of them at once. I have a video about how to do that if you want to try and fly 2 at the same time. But it will also fly the Syma X8C. It'll fly the 12S, which is a little tiny one. It'll fly the flying car, the X9. So it's nice because you can have just about any Syma controller. It's a cheap controller, you know. This, I don't even think this is a real antenna on the top. It's just a placeholder. So the range isn't great, but it's good enough for learning. And like I said, if you can fly any of your Symas with one remote, you don't have to have a whole bunch of different remotes. You can actually toss the others or give them away. So I like that about it, the compatibility of the remotes. The 4th thing I really like about the Syma is that the motors are pretty cheap. You can order them online and they're super easy to replace. There's a ton of screws down here in the bottom of these things, so you just have to have a tiny screwdriver, take it all apart. Basically the entire body of this thing cracks in half, and all that's inside of it is a board with a flight controller and the electronics on it, and then wires that run out to the motors. When you buy a new motor, you basically just, when it comes apart, you slide the new motor in, making sure you have the right counter or clockwise version motor, and it just connects right onto that motherboard and you're good to go. The number 5 thing I really like about the Syma X5C is the built-in flight rates. Now a lot of copters have these now, but Syma X5C was the first one I ever got, cheap one, that actually had it and was so easy to do. You just push this button up here and it goes into the different rate. In the easy rate, it won't tip over very much. You can still control it. Now if it's windy, it's a little more challenging because you can't fight the wind as easily, but as soon as you put it into the more advanced rate, it tips over more and can handle quite a bit of wind actually. The number 6 thing I really liked about the Syma X5C is the size and the weight. This thing is super light. I don't even know what it weighs. It's just a couple of grams. It's a hollow body, so most of what's inside of this is air. And what that means, and the reason I like that, is you're basically not going to hurt anybody if you run into them. Now, there's not a lot of mass here. I've run these into myself. I've caught my fingers on the blades. They're pretty safe as far as a drone goes, especially for a beginner. They're not going to really get away from you and do damage if they run into something. If anything, this thing will crack and break, but I'd rather have that happen than hurt somebody. So safety and lightweightness of it is a very appealing thing. And the final number 7 reason that I love the Syma X5C is they're just agile and a blast to fly. They, as I said, with the 2 different rates, you can just get going like crazy. You can do some cool tricks with these things. Of course, they have the flip button, which makes them flip when you push the button, which is fun. But also just learning how to kind of nosedive down a little bit and pull up, learning how to do line of sight flying where you can keep it oriented and not fly it in headless mode. All of those things are really great with these X5Cs, and so I would highly recommend getting one to learn how to fly and become a better pilot before you spend a lot of money on something bigger and more expensive. So that's it. My 7 reasons why I really like the SEMA X5C as a beginner drone. I know there's going to be a lot of people with different opinions. Love to hear what your favorite starter drone is. I know there's a lot that I haven't flown, but for me, to date, for the 7 reasons I mentioned, these are my very favorites to recommend to beginners and just for going out and having a good time flying. Hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please subscribe to Ready Set Drone. We also have a website, readysetdrone.com, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.